really made a decision to stick in the residential market and stick in areas. Why is that?
I think that stick to what you're good at is a good philosophy to have. We also have, as you probably know, a commercial department where they're urban commercial and they specialise purely in commercial property. So I have found that having a firm focus on being residential gives the public the perception that we are a specialist in that area in residential property. Majority of people that own residential property want to know that your focus is firmly on one thing as an expert. So we find that allows us to have that perception of being an expert in one particular field.
And probably not being afraid to say, no, I know someone who's better at that for you, and joining forces in the business that way with commercial?
Oh, the synergies that we've had have been excellent. I mean, the selfish side of me, we get more referrals from the commercial department than we give them, because majority of people who own commercial property own residential property as well. So look, the synergies between the two groups have probably performed better than we would ever have hoped. I probably last financial year, I think I listed 12 properties alone from referrals just from the commercial guys. But having an area where you can have someone come in and have both sides of your portfolio professionally managed by specialists in both fields just gives it a little bit of extra clout.
And I guess, younger, you've got a few more ideas, more energy, you really promote that? Or?
Yeah, most definitely. That's the angle we've taken, young, fresh approach. I mean, look, at one stage I was the oldest person in the office. Obviously we've expanded now, and I think that we had this idea in mind that we're all about young, fresh approach, but then speaking to a couple of other guys and new staff that we have brought on who might be a little bit more senior has really broadened our appeal. But they have been excellent in adopting our philosophy of that young, fresh approach.
Now, running a business, there's some boring parts, there's some cool parts. Do you outsource any of the boring bits?
All of it.
All of it,
All of it. One of the greatest things I learnt to do when I got into business very early on was to outsource the non-dollar productive stuff or delegate. One thing that I did set up very early on was outsourcing the bookkeeping of the company. So we use a private firm who comes into our office once a week, tidies up all the invoices, pays the staff, ensures that commission statements and ledgers are all, the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, and then they send us a nice tidy account. We don't have to worry about that in the office. Reports are generated from that on a weekly basis, so I can keep an eye on it. But then again, I'll read them in times where I'm not focusing on dollar productive tasks.
Now, Daniel the salesperson as opposed to Daniel the business owner, how do you split those two guys up and spend time on the business and time selling?
At a very early stage in your career as a principal, I suppose, I don't normally use that term, I feel like I'm back at school, but you have to make a decision, or it comes to a point where you realise you have to make a decision saying, am I going to be a salesperson who owns a business, or am I going to be a business owner who runs the business? I evaluated that quite early on and realised that my passion was in the transaction or in the relationship. I love selling houses, I really do, and I didn't want to have to give that up. So I looked at ways in which I could delegate the running of the business. So I put key people in key positions. My role when I was a salesperson is I had an assistant. They would assist with vendor management, prospecting, those sort of things. Now I have an assistant who is called a business manager, and she is godsend, extremely qualified, but takes care of the nuts and bolts day-to-day running, the dealing with suppliers, dealing with getting people documents that they might need, putting flyers, marketing ideas together, all those sort of things, so I can be concentrating on dealing with buyers and sellers. I also have another assistant as well who helps me. He's just started with us, who helps us maintain, or helps me maintain, my level of prospecting to generate new business.
Do you share a lot of your business goals and your drive with your staff? And you probably, treat them as friends, but is there a line where you say, no, that's what I've got to do running the business, and that's my business, and can I only share this much?
I think filtering of information down to staff is another key decision that you have to make as a business owner. Too much information. I'll give you a scenario. If your property management department or people in your departments know that the company is making a lot of money, it really opens you up to them saying, where's my cut? Especially if you don't have progression and reward programs in place, of which we do. And if the company might not be doing so well, you've got to put yourself in the shoe of thinking, how would a prospective salesperson look at you if they knew that the business was ailing? So you've got to find a happy medium. Look, my business goals and business plans are open slather. We talk about that on a daily basis. Goal setting, everyone has a copy of the company business plan to an extent, but all the financial information is kept between myself and my management team. But as far as sales information, numbers, KPIs, on boards in the office for everyone to see. And you talked a bit about sort of getting ideas from other people and sometimes ripping it off, but also sharing. And I mean, I know we see you at the REI a lot, particularly at next gen functions, and you seem to really enjoy that and interacting with people and learning. How do you value that, and do you think it's growing your business? I can't speak highly enough of it. I get a real kick out of being in a room of people who are just enthusiastic about learning, and that's the honest truth. I recently flew up to Brisbane to see a seminar which we're bringing to Adelaide, and I went up there and I was just blown away with the energy in the room. It just gives you a real kick and lets you know that people actually care about doing well in the industry. And I suppose
professionalism, sort of,
sense of, I suppose it's almost a sense of, Darren Standish, one of the guys on the committee, mentioned sense of community, and I think that's what it's about. I think people get, or I believe people get caught up in saying, this is my idea, I don't want to share it. But if they're any good, they're going to learn it anyway, right? So you may as well share what you know. I think that's one thing that people need to realise is in business, or if you have an idea, someone's going to learn it anyway. You may as well share it. Because your competitors, either you've taken it off them, or it's going to get there anyway. So I get a real kick out of that. I get a real kick out of helping people grow as agents. So I think there's no better feeling in the world, I think, than seeing someone who's maybe progressed or done at least one little thing different, and it might have been in some way from some advice that you might have given them along the way.